Hello YouTube. I think we have a successful stream. One day I will go live with confidence. Stream is up. Yes, excellent. Excellent. So let me check that quality. It is absolutely pouring with rain, so I've just put the microphone to my chest, so hopefully you'll be able to hear me. Okay, I've got audio, everything's good. Alright, so I'm in Brendale now in Queensland, and we have a flood weather warning right now. It's been pouring with rain for 2 days, and just as I was about to go live, it decided to rain as heavy as it could. Let's turn this off. All right, everything's looking good my end. G'day Chris, how are you going today? So I'm just going to start by giving my torch a bit of a birthday. This gas lens isn't too bad. I can't focus that camera, but I just get a lot of distortion on the filter screen inside of them. What kind of welder did you get, Chris? And are you out playing with it? You should be, instead of watching me. So gas lens and number 5 cup. Is there any chance you can see that on this camera? So I actually laser engrave my cups just with my logo on them. As you can see, I put my logo everywhere. It gives me a better chance of getting it in a photo. I used to be against having my logo everywhere in my shop, but as time has passed, I realised that the more I have it around the place, the better the chance of it being in the background of a photo. Oh, nice. Master TIG, a 325, not the 235, a 3-phase machine. This is, I'm using the Master TIG 235. Fairly happy with it. It does do a good job, but it has had its teething problems. So today, this is a brand new stream. I've got a whole new computer. Trying to beat last night's problem, which was the CPU was frying from running at 75% the whole stream. Right now we're running 2 cameras. This camera down here is very choppy. I think I'm killing it with the EMF from the welder. But I'm currently running at 22% CPU usage while streaming. I was as low as 9% while I was setting up, so I'm running an 8-core processor in this computer, and so far it looks like it'll do the job. So my goal is to be able to add a third and fourth camera to this stream. And I talk about it because this is just as much of a record for me as it is for the people watching and the people who watch after it's gone live. So today I am welding some pipe. I've just got some 2.5-inch coupons that I've cut. I've just saw cut them on a cold cut saw, and I'm just going to have a try at welding them. I think the last time I did intercooler piping was 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, but definitely 3 or 4 years ago. And I certainly haven't done any since I've bought this Kempe 235, and I don't have a profile for it, so I'm going to use tonight as I'm going to weld 2 coupons and make 2 pen holders, more or less. Get some settings dialed in and get ready for a intercooler job that I've got coming up. Just to give myself some settings, give myself a refresher, and I want to do a really great job on this vehicle that's come in, so a couple of practice coupons are definitely worthwhile. Yeah, so 325 with the Kempe torches. So I switched my torch out for the CK, like the Flex, like the really lightweight Flex number 20. The Kempe torch I found had really heavy gauge, so like 1/2-inch cable running all the way up till the last 1.2 meters of the cable. And if you ever weld with the cable across your lap or something, the cable was getting really hot, so the water cooling was only working in that front section of the line, I guess. And also there was a union in there at that 1.2 meter mark, and I was finding it was arcing across onto the table as well. So I'm very curious to see how you get on with your TX Kempe torch. If you do change the torch out, you do need to keep it plugged in for the water cooler to work. If you unplug it, the machine actually, the welding torch has a chip in it and tells the computer what torch is connected to it. So if you ever do swap the torch out, Chris, keep it plugged in, or I've just stripped the wiring out and got it coiled up at the back of the machine. But the Unimig Razor, super popular machine. I get asked all the time if I've had experience with them, and I haven't. From what I understand, they have proprietary torches, and people run into trouble with those. Paul, welcome. Shane's S14 I haven't seen for 5 or so years, so it's definitely not intercooler for him, unless he's planning on training it up or trucking it up to me. I don't think I'm going to see it. I've got a R34 with a 30-26 situation going on that I'm doing some intercooler pipes for, and catch can and things like that. My first custom job in the new space, and technically my first custom job for 3 years I've been exclusively trying to figure out my catch can workflow and building my business based off catch cans, not custom work. And in all honesty, building catch cans day in, day out is super repetitive, so I'm welcoming some custom work, and I'm hoping that it leads to product development as well. So where I'm going to start with this weld is in the weld assist feature. Another camera is coming where you'll be able to see when I set the machine, but for today I'll just talk you through it. So I select aluminium. This aluminium right here is just shy of 2mm thick. So I'm going to select 2mm. Because I'm using the foot pedal, I can dial it off. It's a butt joint, and on the machine you get torch placement. So whether it's straight on, angled, or what direction you're placing the torch in. So I'm straight on top, so it's position A. It gives me a list of parameters that the machine sets and a list of gas flow and tungsten and whatnot that I set. So the machine is suggesting 83 amps it's going to set to. It wants me to run argon at 7 litres a minute, which is my norm. 2.4mm tungsten, which is what I use, and it wants a 2mm filler rod. I am going to be using a 1.6mm filler rod. And it also suggests the travel speed at 155mm a minute. So when the machine selects its own settings, it defaults to 60 Hertz on the frequency. It defaults to optimal wave, which is proprietary wave system that this machine has. So I'm going to flick it over to square wave. I'm going to up the hertz to 80 Hertz. I'm going to just change the AC balance to 28 and basically negating the auto program, but so be it, eh? Which is just experience, I guess, versus the machine settings. It's going to start with a fresh piece of tungsten. I'm hoping I've set the stream up the same as it was yesterday with the microphone switch when I switch over to the welding screen. We will see. If you can let me know in the chat, that'd be brilliant. I can't hear the stream. I'll move you guys over here. So it should be quite a microphone. If you're still in the chat, Chris, did you have to wait long for delivery on your 325 machine? just turned off autofocus on that webcam. Hopefully it stops pinging in and out. So on the auto setting, it's set the minimum amps to 58 amps, which is actually quite high. So I'm going to drop it down to 35. So it's 35 min, 83 max amps. Just really made it hard to taper out when I finished that weld. G'day Jody. Yeah, I cleaned the tungsten off on a there we go. Sorry you can't hear me. G'day Jody. I cleaned the tungsten off. I have, which way do you see? Here, I have two tungsten grinders here, one for cleaning the tungsten off and one for sharpening the tungsten. And then once I get into it, I will ball that tungsten on a big block of brass that I've got here. So not a massive fan of the settings that the machine spat out. I'm going to, that little camera has frozen. Just going to dip over to my regular 2mm profile and give that a try. I'm just going to try sine wave on this one, see if I can get a little bit less penetration without having to travel any quicker. G'day FJ Engineering. The big chunks of aluminium, these here come from Capral's scrap bin. along with this plate that I'm on, and I actually have a positioner built into my welding table, which I'm actually trying to do these coupons on short bursts to simulate the out of position nature of welding the pipes. And I just realised that I don't actually have the positioner plugged in because I've got all this camera stuff hooked up, but I just have some massive magnets on this thing, and I just line it up with one of the holes here, and on this welding plate I have a square cutout that fits into that little key that I screw in, and I always weld on a Lazy Susan bearing. So I've just basically stripped a positioner and retrofitted it to my welding table. For me, it was really awkward having to move it all around all the time when I basically just do bench welding. Not basically, I do just do bench welding exclusively. So I'm in Queensland now, but I used to be in South Australia, and Capral there had like a scrap wall that you could go and you would purchase by weight. Here in Queensland, they don't actually do that, so I don't know if that's any help to you at all. But I always keep an eye out for big chunks of scrap. Super handy, and on this one here, I've tapped into it to bolt a flange down. Stuff like that is super handy. Yeah, they are. Yeah, a positioner, if you're doing the right kind of work for it, it is super handy. If you can get one that spins slow enough. For me, I do like a 2-foot pedal dance, so I pause the positioner as it rotates. I'm waiting for fittings to come, which will be here next week, and I'll do a stream on how I weld my AN fittings on. I have 35 catch cans behind me that are waiting for fittings, so there'll be a lot. But I have up on my Instagram reels or on my TikTok a video on my 2-foot procedure for using the positioner. Really great because I use the mix setting on my welder, and it allows me to have the on-off with the AC/DC variant in it. Really good setup to get in, for me at least, to be able to use 2 feet at once. So I'm just going to up to 115 Hertz from 80 Hertz for this last little section. So got some nice sections of weld in there. Definitely the sine wave at 80 hertz was a good setting for me. The stop start and not cooling the part down in between, or not regulating the heat. A bigger pipe or plugging some heat sinks in there. Definitely would have given me better results, but all in all, tonight it's really just about finding some settings and getting my eye in, which is something I haven't done for quite some years. Oh, sorry about that. On this coupon, I am going to try some pulse settings. Just like before, I'm going to begin with weld assist and just take what it spits out for me, which is 58 amp minimum, 83 amp max, 60 hertz. And all I'm going to do is turn pulse on. So it's doing a 40% on time, 60% off, and a 1 pulse per second is the auto generated. So that's 60 hertz on Optima, so Kempe's Optima setting. One thing I will do is just in the TIG setting menus, high frequency spark force at 90%. 95%, sorry. I just dropped that down because the high frequency really messes with the stream. So I turned that down as low as I could, which was 95, before it started affecting the stability of the weld. So pulse setting, let's see how it goes. This little it's a little webcam I've got just behind. Oh, everything's frozen. the pulse setting, I think it might be the 60 hertz actually, that is messing with the stream. Since I've started streaming, this is my 5th or 6th stream. I think I'm learning why people don't stream AC welding. See a lot of people welding DC, streaming DC, definitely doesn't have the interference, but I've taken massive measures in this shop to try and successfully stream, and definitely having a hell of a lot more success than the first couple. But I'm just going to try turning that frequency up to 90 hertz. I'm going to keep the pulse on those 3. I was really just playing with travel time and letting some heat get into the part. Super easy to control on a pulse setting. Really nice for these short burst welds as I go around. Yeah, I'm trying to stream FJ Engineering. Sorry, I don't know your name, but I'm trying to stream every single night, as much as possible, until I get good at it, or at least have a performance or a stream that's worth watching, and then I might get into a 3-day schedule. But I'm really enjoying having some interaction while I play around with the welder in the evening. Yeah, definitely that pulse messing with the stream. It's not shutting it down, which is good so far. So this is actually a really nice pulse setting. The 60 hertz was really fun. It was like being in the Stone Age, using 60 hertz. It's been a long time since I've played with the machine at 60. I'm just going to swap it out to sine wave, and just going to drop down to a 33% on time while this part's hot, and let's see how the penetration goes. Swap you guys to the quiet setting. I thought that would knock out the stream for sure. Yeah, 33 and 66, whichever direction it goes, they're the magic numbers, aren't they? Trying to figure out why this camera moved, and it is because it's held onto this welding lens with blue tack. And as things warm up, the blue tack shifts. I have an intention of 3D printing a holder for the camera, but I'm not a fan of this camera, so getting something like another DSLR and zooming in on a really low ISO I think would be the ultimate. But let me just move him across here, and bear with me 2 seconds while I get some tape. So make the mistake in thinking that the stream's going to die in 15 minutes. So why go to the trouble of spending a night 3D printing a part? Now you get to see that really attractive green tape. Let me hide him behind there a little bit. All right, so I had a really hard time terminating that weld because the auto settings is, was it 58 amps? I forget what it was. On the low setting, yeah, so the low setting, so straight off the pedal coming on, 58 amps, and just really difficult, so no downslope or anything. So really difficult to terminate that weld. Obviously won't be an issue when it comes time to do the actual part. But I think that pulse setting, that last pulse setting, which I did make a change without talking to you guys. So I changed it over to sine wave, and I got that pulse at 34%. So instead of 33, I went to 34, still 1 second. The only thing that I would do would be to lower that that low setting and get a bit more range in the foot pedal. But the thing that I was trying to figure out tonight was penetration. So as it came around towards the end on that weld, God, I can't show you anywhere. This camera is manual focus, so I can't focus it for you. But so this is the pulse setting. Got some really heavy penetration where I was playing around with travel speed, and then towards the end there, really got it dialed. Really happy with that level of penetration. No pulse. Granted, we were messing with settings a lot, and one of them I really had to feed. Not a massive fan, but so coming towards the end, so the last inch or so is probably where it's dialed the best. The inch is just where my middle finger is there. But all in all, I think I learned what I wanted to learn, and I have a setting, I guess a starting point, a kicking off point for these intercooler pipes that I'll be welding soon. Difference being that the pipes I'm doing are 3.5 inch, these are 2.5 inch, and I'll be doing longer sections, so I'll get them in 4 bites instead of just doing little inch sections. So I'll spend the next half hour welding up a R32 catch can I've got prepped. This is leftover from the last batch that I was welding in previous videos. I just clean the fingerprints off with some isopropyl microfiber towel. Okay, everything's still operational. So I'll lift you up for this one. I use one of these gooseneck. So these hold are designed to hold a 5 kilo camera. Use it for my prop, but I'd like to get a couple more to hold these welding cameras from up high and be able to move them around on the table ultimately. So I'll start with this cradle as always. It's going to get a little bit more stick out. It's about 4mm stick out on that tungsten from that pulse welding that I did previously. It has got a pretty nice bowl on it already. Really, when I do this section, I like a sharp point, but it's a pretty fine bowl, so we'll go with it. And I'm going to pulse weld these after I've tacked the corners. Which is 95 amp or 98 amp, 80 hertz square wave, 30% on the AC balance. Sorry about that. Is it frozen? So I just put a couple of extra tacks just to stop these thin sections from warping. And I'm going to switch over to my pulse setting, which is 105 hertz at 32% on the AC balance. It's a 1 second pulse with a 66% on time. I forgot to put you in welding mode. I'm so sorry for the noise. This camera is not enjoying the pulse setting. But that little webcam is freaking out. Everything's sort of freaking out at the moment. So we got storms going on outside and EMF from all this welding in here. So I don't normally, I guess over the years, I don't normally weld this inside section on pulse, but I did it the other night and really enjoyed it. It was just fun, I guess, to do a different technique. So is the only reason why I've continued to do it tonight. But this section, this seam on the bottom here, I often weld on a pulse setting. I'm just checking the stream's still running. I often weld this bottom seam on a pulse setting, so we'll get to doing that now. I'll just tack the two ends here. Yeah, it's been interesting to have a bigger crowd. Very nerve-wracking, but I actually put this stream out with some hashtags in the hope to bring more people in, I guess. I really want to be happy with the quality of the stream before I start broadcasting it, or advertising it, I guess is the right term. And I need to investigate a few other things in the back end to help with monitoring things in the chat, but I don't know what level of control I get, but we'll figure it out as we go. But yeah, really cool, really cool. I don't know if you caught my question before, Chris, but I didn't see the answer come through, but how long did you have to wait to get your 325 machine? And I guess, did you have to wait for it to come over, or was it here already? Yeah, 3 weeks is not too bad at all things considered. It came with, I guess it's 3-phase, so not a big deal. Mine's 240 volt, and there was a lot of talk. I guess I found out it wasn't really accurate, but about whether it came with an Australian plug or not. Did you get it through State of the Arc, or did you buy online? swap out to my straight current profile instead of the pulsing profile. Atkins, were they good on price? When I priced up mine, they were far from competitive, but I think on a 3-phase machine, probably not too bad. Curve prop is on to follow this upward curve, and straight current instead of pulse. Really bad filler angle on that first part of that curve there, trying to use the stub of the rod, but really turned out to be quite a nice weld, so can't complain about that at all. So normally I would flip this and start doing the top, but there's a little bit of a gap on this little tiny section here, so I'm just going to go ahead and weld that out before I flip him over. The big camera is not enjoying it at the moment, but it is restarting every time I click restart on it, which is awesome. Yeah, the Fronius, yeah, the paywall on Fronius and Miller. So I was looking at the Miller as well, the 210 Dynasty or whatever it is, the 210, and the whatever it was, $600 or $800 to buy an SD card to unlock pulse settings or an array of pulse settings was just really off-putting as a customer. But then to find out that the Kempi was locked at 30 pulses per second was a little bit annoying as well, because I would actually pay to unlock that if it was an option, but it's not. But yeah, I before this machine I had a Token Tools machine and everything was unlocked, and I would weld with some crazy settings and get some really great results. And I was kind of hoping to be able to do that with this machine, but the thing that these expensive or these premium machines have going for them is that they're just a really high quality power source. So if you strip off all, which I mean right now I'm not welding in pulse or anything, if you strip off all the fancy features, they are just a really great power source, and that makes them worth it if they last the distance. All right, so this is in the part of the build where I start using chill blocks, just to draw some of that heat out so I can continue to weld. Ideally, I would weld 3 or 4 of these at a time and just switch in between them to let them cool in between processes. But I don't think that's very interesting to watch. I think it would be nicer to see the completion of one single unit than part welding of multiples. Yeah, I'd be really curious to know how you feel about I guess the difference in quality between your Razor and a Kempi machine. I'd actually really like to see the difference between an Everlast and the Kempi machine, both in 240 and 3-phase. Because I guess since purchasing mine, I'm really wondering if it was worth the difference in the expense. And it's one of those questions that only time will answer. If I still have this machine in 10 years, in 8 years, then absolutely it was worth every cent. But if not, then that begs a totally different question, I guess. But yeah, always really interested to hear people's experience when they go from air quote low-end machine to a high-end machine. So yeah, definitely report back once you've had a play with it. I'd be very interested to know your experience for sure. It felt like a really unstable arc as I was travelling around there. I'm fairly confident that that was an earthing issue. Just really had to vary the travel speed as the arc got a little bit wobbly. Still a beautiful world, but felt a bit strange. I was half expecting the stream to be shut down when I lifted my hood, but we're still kicking along beautifully. want to get this bit right here. You can see better in the small camera. But nice, easy, straight weld that is incredibly challenging because of the two holes in it, and this is where the baffling inside the tank presses hard up against the front, and it acts like a big heat sink as I go past, and then the heat dissipates real fast where those holes are, and then it comes up again as a big heat sink. Nice, easy, straight weld, but has some big challenges as it goes across there. Should just combat those challenges with travel speed, a little bit of pedal manipulation, but mostly travel speed. And this one here, I'll just zoom in so you can take a look. So a little bit of a poor fit up on this back panel here. And now I'm seeing that there is some warpage from when I welded that inside corner here, and then go ahead and did the stream drop out? It looks like the stream dropped out and has come back now. The program took care of that all by itself, which is bloody amazing. I think I am having some issues because of the weather as well. But yeah, just going to put a tack on here and then go along and weld this massive straight side. Both cameras, and now I'm worried that the stream. Now I'm paranoid that the stream's going to drop out, but I think we've just lost both cameras. I'm not entirely sure what's going on, but there's some big bangs going on at either the shop across from me or just outside in the car park. Don't know if that's weather related or human related. I'm going to get a wriggle on and finish this catch can up. Awesome, yeah, I can see audio and I can see the green light, but the stream did drop out, so every time I lift up the hood, I'm just, I guess, amazed that the stream is still running. But yeah, I'm going to get a wriggle on and finish welding this catch can because I am getting quite hungry and want to wrap it up. I'll flick you to quiet mode, almost forgot. Going good, yes. Yeah, I like that the cameras are coming good every time I reactivate them. Definitely takes a lot of pressure off. Knowing that I can fix it. That first night that I streamed, or second night, a lot of panic every time something went mildly wrong. But like anything, it's just experience. I've actually been thinking about, it would be awesome if I had a micro switch on the foot pedal that switched over to the welding mode every time that I just push down on the foot pedal. It's not impossible and something that I think about, but as time goes on, this stream will definitely improve. I'm actually really enjoying the neon sign in the welding camera. Actually really surprised that it shows up red. It looks really good apart from the crappy image on the camera, but really happy with that. Seems like, so I'm having difficulty striking an arc, and that's because I've turned high frequency down. And it seems like, well, at least it just did it then, and I was thinking before, every time I don't strike an arc, I'm spiking, it's an EMF spike, so I'm spiking the cameras. Just going to pay attention to that and see if that's actually what's going on. Yeah, so definitely not striking an arc is causing a problem. I actually caught at that time and saw the TV had flashed, or the monitor had flashed. Something to investigate for the next stream. Yeah, definitely looks like that's a culprit. For complete curiosity, I'm just going to turn that high frequency start up. see if that drops the cameras out or if that improves my starts. Oh, I forgot to change the audio. I'm so sorry. And it's got the last seam on this one. You're not going to see me weld it, but that extra 5% on the high frequency really does make a difference, and I don't think it impacted the cameras, at least for that section of the stream. So this turned out really good. It's the blue tack that I used to seal it. And the autofocus is horrible on this thing. Let me just flick it to manual focus if I can. It doesn't like that very much, but the weld's turned out really great on this catch can, I think. I don't quite get enough cable there. But really happy with how that turned out. And that's going to bring it to the end of the stream. Chris, thank you so much for joining me. I can't thank you enough. Really makes it worthwhile knowing that somebody's there. Tonight was a lot more action than I've ever had before, but really enjoyed it. Again, Chris and everybody who's watching this after the live stream, I'd really love some feedback on how I can improve this stream. The nature of dealing with the EMF, I think, is something that I'm slowly getting on top of, or at least learning how to manage. But I would love to learn how to make this more enjoyable, to bring more people in, and I just have a bloody great time being able to interact while doing a seemingly mundane task to me. So enjoy playing with your welder this weekend, Chris. I really look forward to hearing how you go with it. Thank you to everyone that came along and to everyone who watches this. I'm going to go have some dinner, and I'll see you in the next one.